China is Japan's greatest threat since World War II, and now Japan must end that threat. A record-breaking $56 billion will be spent on the Japanese military in 2024 and $300 billion by 2027. The result? New and upgraded weapons that most of the world has never seen before and may likely never see again. Here are the weapons. Submarines. Japan is looking to equip its current and future submarines with more advanced long-range cruise missiles launchable from both vertical launch systems and torpedo tubes. Currently, the submarines are armed with the Harpoon missile from the US, but the demands of the future battlefield may need something more. So Japan is on the lookout for a replacement. The replacement could be a brand new missile derived from the Type 12 subsonic anti-ship missile already in service with the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, or an upgraded variant of the missile. Either way, the Type 12 is definitely involved. For years, the missile has been Japan's go-to when threats need to go boom. Work began in 2018 to extend the range of the Type 12 missile from the current 124 miles to 560 miles, and then later to 930 miles. Even with the initial range extension alone, the upgraded Type 12 would be in broadly the same category that's required for a new cruise missile on Japan's submarines. It would also meet the requirement of being able to strike both at-sea targets and ground targets, such as enemy ballistic missile bases. It would also have a reduced radar cross-section that would make the missile stealthy by hiding it from the radar waves of air defense systems. While there have been no official documents claiming that the upgraded Type 12 would be the new missile to power Japan's submarines, the timelines of these upgrades coincide with the new missile developed for the submarines. Be it an upgraded Type 12 or a brand new missile though, a new missile on Japan's submarines could be game-changing. With 22 submarines, Japan has one of the largest, quickest, and most silent submarine fleets on the planet, and it continues to build more. China has a real challenge on its hands with these ones. Izumo-class aircraft carriers. At the end of World War II, Japan swore to wield no powerful offensive weapons such as aircraft carriers in a bid to assure the world it was done with its offensive ways. The country went from an aircraft carrier world power to the lowest on the list, having a total of 0. Until now. For the first time in over 7 decades, Japan is building an aircraft carrier class, the Izumo carrier class. The Izumo-class consists of the JS Izumo and JS Kaga, 2 twin floating bases that each cost over $1 billion. JS Izumo and Kaga were originally built as helicopter-carrying destroyers, although many would argue they were Japan's way of having aircraft carriers without admitting they had aircraft carriers, as that would break the century-old promise to the world. In Japan's defense, the constant threats from neighbors like China have been enough to consider their country under attack. The country must now do all it can to survive, even if that means breaking many hearts around the world by breaking promises. JS Izumo and Kaga are soon to be Japan's new aircraft carriers. They are both currently being upgraded to aircraft carrier status to enable them to counter a looming disaster. Conversion began in 2020. By the end of it, both ships will have more heat-resistant decks, more power, and a new quadrangle-shaped bow to handle the departure and arrival of fixed-wing aircraft. As neither ship has a ski jump or a launch catapult to accelerate aircraft to the sky, the Japanese carriers are stuck with short takeoff and vertical landing fighters, the most modern of which is the F-35B Lightning II, and so Japan made provisions for it. In 2018, the country announced that it would purchase 42 F-35Bs to be shared between Izumo and Kaga after conversion. Combined with an additional 105 F-35s that Japan ordered separately, this makes Japan the country with the highest number of F-35s outside the manufacturing U.S. In 2021, 2 United States Marine Corps F-35B fighters performed the first vertical landings and horizontal takeoffs from JS Izumo, marking the first time since World War II that a fixed-wing aircraft could be operated from a Japanese carrier. When these carriers enter service, Japan will be armed with sea assets that can not only defend the nation's shores, but also take Japan's fight to their rival's doorstep. Next-generation fighter. Having $23 billion worth of F-35s hasn't stopped Japan from hunting for a lethal sixth-generation air superiority fighter that would dominate the skies of the future. Japan originally began its sixth-generation fighter efforts solo, but along the way teamed up with Britain and Italy, which were also building a joint sixth-generation fighter of their own. $490 million of Japan's 2024 budget is going into this effort, along with many millions more in subsequent budgets. The result would be the most capable fighter Japan has ever operated, armed with the most advanced technologies Japan's airspace has ever seen, including revolutionary Number 3. Electric actuators. The control, power, and brake systems of the fighter will use electric actuators instead of the more traditional hydraulic systems, which makes sense. Thanks to an electric wiring connection, electric actuators are adaptable enough to fit into the intricate fighter interior, giving developers the freedom to design the jet as is most efficient. As a bonus, the aircraft is more mobile and comes with a lighter airframe. Number 2. Stealth. To be invisible to enemy radar, the fighter must at least minimize its reflection of radar waves and prevent the detection of its own radar emissions. An internal weapons bay and serpentine air ducts coated with carbon-based electromagnetic wave absorbers, like the engines are, help minimize radar reflection. To handle its own radar emissions when spotting nearby threats, the fighter employs passive detection, which prevents the fighter from releasing radar waves while allowing it to detect them. Number 1. Armament. The fighter's armament would include a long line of kinetic weapons of today and potentially laser weapons of tomorrow. To top off the incredible armament lineup, the fighter would be armed with third-party loyal wingmen capable of taking on smaller side missions, such as scouting for targets, deterring incoming missiles from the main manned fighter, and so much more. The new fighter, loaded with all of these features, would be just what the Japanese doctor ordered. Aegis system-equipped vessels. $8.78 billion, 15% of the 2024 budget, is going into bolstering Japan's missile defense systems, including the construction of 2 Aegis system-equipped vessels called Aegis system-equipped vessels. The ship naming convention might have some explaining to do, but definitely not the capabilities bit. That is on point. The 2 ships, which will cost a combined $7.1 billion from design to completion, will each weigh 20,000 tons and have the dimensions of a cruiser, the largest warship of any navy aside from an aircraft carrier. This huge size gives a paradise of ergonomic spaces to each ship's 110-person crew, so they can live like they were on a cruise ship during breaks and attack from one of the most lethal ships on the 7 seas when it's time for action. Once in service, they will be the largest surface combatant ships of the Japanese Navy, if not the world, and they would be tasked primarily as ballistic missile defense warships. Ballistic missile defense is a crucial addition to Japan's fleet because Nemesis China will always have the option of nuclear ballistic missile attacks if Japan manages to dominate in a conventional war. To truly handle the threat, Japan must have a reliable defense system against incoming ballistic missiles. Japan originally planned to have this defense system ashore, but later switched to the more mobile Aegis system-equipped vessels. Be it ashore or a ship, if you will, Japan's ballistic missile defense will be heavily reliant on the revolutionary Aegis system technology. The Aegis system is an American creation that tracks incoming missile strikes better than virtually every other system on the planet, and then works with friendly assets to shoot them out of the sky. Aegis systems currently do so for the US, all of NATO, and even for Japan. Many of Japan's main battleships today, including the Kongo-class, 2 Atago-class, and 2 Maya-class guided missile destroyers, feature the Aegis system. The Aegis system on the new Aegis system-equipped vessels will be a newer version, though, and will therefore boast a level of effectiveness that none of Japan's previous ships could dream of. Missiles. In the end, every other weapon discussed today is only a tool to deliver missiles. To win a war, missiles must fly, be it cruise, intercontinental, conventional, or nuclear. Japan recognizes this, and so the centerpiece of the country's 2024 budget is an early deployment of standoff missiles to match up against China's missiles. $5.15 billion is planned to be spent on purchasing the locally made Type 12 cruise missiles, purchasing American-made missiles, and developing a future generation of formidable long-range missiles. The Type 12 missile has already been discussed in some detail, particularly its possible deployment on Japanese submarines and upgrades. It is also being considered as an air-launched missile launchable from Japan's F-35 fighters. The American-made missiles to find their way into Japan include the purely American Tomahawk and the half-American, half-Japanese SM-3 missile. The Tomahawk, a celebrity missile of sorts that has struck fear in the hearts of American enemies for over 3 decades, needs no introduction. Precise strikes, long-range capabilities, the versatility to be launched from submarines, surface ships, and aircraft, a 1,000-mile range, conventional or nuclear warheads, and so on, make the Tomahawk just the perfect missile for any mission and every kind of explosion the US or Japan could ask for. Japan intends to spend $1.5 billion to purchase 400 of these missiles. The hybrid American-Japanese SM-3 is a highly capable missile interceptor designed to intercept incoming ballistic missiles in their mid-course phase of flight after a system like the Aegis has detected and tracked them. Japan's future generation of formidable long-range missiles is wide and varied, but notably includes hypersonic missiles capable of both offense and defense. Modern hypersonic missiles combine insane speeds and agility to become highly maneuverable explosives that current air defense systems would have an impossible time intercepting, even if they managed to detect them. Japan's future hypersonic missiles are the hypersonic cruise missile and the hypervelocity gliding projectile, both of which would travel at over Mach 5, both of which are expected to enter service in the 2030s, and both of which are thirsty to give China one more made-in-Japan weapon to worry about. These are interesting times, from missiles and ships to fighters and submarines. Japan, the third largest economy on the planet, is committing huge resources to restore its position as one of the most powerful nations in the world and motivate China to keep off. To help Japan achieve that, the country needs you to subscribe to this channel and give this video a like. So do that now, and thanks for watching.